What is up, everybody? Roman here. Today we are talking draft strategy and what is the best strategy this year in fantasy football to help you build the best team and win your league. I have done multiple mock drafts. I have done best ball drafts. I have also drafted in a couple real leagues already. And I have seen the type of teams you can build as long as you draft properly. So today I want to go through and take my knowledge and my expertise, you can say, and share it with you guys and hopefully help you build the best team possible in fantasy this year. So let's get into it. In round one, you're going to be targeting running back. The main thing you want to do this year is to secure an elite running back in one of the first two rounds. And in round one is where the best ones are available. So here I split up where the different running back zones are and where the wide receiver zones are. Pick 101 to the 102 is going to be running back. That is where you have Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs. So you're choosing one of the two out of those guys. 103 to 104 is the wide receiver zone. That's where you're going to be taking Jamar Chase or Puka Nacua. 105, I think you should be taking a running back there. I think you can take CMC easily. Or if you prefer Jonathan Taylor, if you think Jonathan Taylor can have a good season like he did last year towards the beginning, you can take him here at the 105, but definitely take one of the running backs here. 106 and 107 is where you're going to be targeting wide receiver, Amon-Ra and JSN. And then 108 to the 112 is again the running back zone. This is where you're going to be targeting running backs. I don't really like players like CeeDee Lamb and Justin Jefferson going in the first round. I think that they're more of second round picks, and you should be taking the running backs here like James Cook, like Ashton Genty, Devon Achane, whoever it is that falls to you at this point. So round one, target the running back if it makes sense. Obviously, if you're picking from the 103 to the 104 and Jamar Chase and Puka Nacua are available, don't reach and take a CMC. Those guys are going to be better. So target them where it makes sense depending on your pick. Hopping into round two, this is where you need to target running back once again, especially if you took a wide receiver in the first round. So if you were one of the players that took JSN, Puka, Amon-Ra, or Chase, definitely target a running back here, because if you don't get a running back here, your team's going to be really behind in the running back category. Here I have split up the running backs you can see here, and the last running back I have on this list is Derrick Henry. He usually comes off in the 208, but I have seen him fall to the 301. I've seen him fall to the 212 because people take players like Trey McBride. They prefer the receivers that are there. They do a pairing of receivers. If these players are available, Devon Achane, Saquon Barkley, Chase Brown, Omarion Hampton, Kenneth Walker, Derrick Henry, if any of them are available at your point in round two, take them. Even if you took a running back in round one, stacking running back is honestly my best draft strategy this year. I think taking two running backs early on is the best thing you can do. So if one of them is available, take them. Getting back to CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, and I'm also going to include Drake London here. There's a certain point in the draft where I'm okay with taking these players, and I have it written down here. CeeDee Lamb, if Devon Achane, Saquon Barkley, and Chase Brown all come off the board, take CeeDee Lamb. He's going to be productive. He's going to be better probably than Omarion Hampton, Kenneth Walker, and Derrick Henry. If Omarion Hampton comes off the board, take Justin Jefferson. And then if all the running backs are off, take Drake London. So if you're kind of looking and you're thinking, man, like I can't pass up on CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, there is definitely a point where you shouldn't pass up on them, and that is after certain running backs are off the board. So once all those guys are gone, take that player at that point. But if not, target the running back. You want to build your running backs up early. If you have two running backs, great. If you have a running back and wide receiver, that's also great. Going into round three, you're going to be targeting the best player available. It doesn't matter what they are, running back or wide receiver, you're going to be targeting them, but avoid quarterback and avoid tight end. I promise you, you don't want to take a Browers, you don't want to take a McBride, you don't want to take a Josh Allen this early on in the draft. You can find value in the tight end, you can find value in the quarterback so much later in drafts, but you won't find this value in the running back and wide receiver position later on in drafts. If you've already taken two running backs, don't be afraid to take a third running back here. Now, the best players to draft in this kind of round is going to be Rashee Rice, Javonte Williams, Devontae Smith, Josh Jacobs, and Zay Flowers in that order. So if Rashee Rice is gone, take Javonte Williams. If Javonte Williams is gone, take Devontae Smith, and so on and so forth. That is how I have them ranked personally. Everybody else in that list, if you prefer them, go for them. But definitely take the guys that are the best value, the best player. If a player falls out of round 2 and goes into round 3, like I've seen Nico Collins fall into the 3rd round. I've drafted him in the 3rd round before. Anything can happen. Players that should be in round 2 can easily fall into round 3. take the best player available always, but avoid quarterback and avoid tight end. Round 4 is where we start to target the wide receiver position unless there is some sort of value that falls. Remember in your drafts that value is king. If a player falls, say a player from round 2 falls into round 4, doesn't matter what position you need, you're drafting that player. Obviously, that's not likely to happen, but if it does, always take the value there. If you see a player that's really good, that was supposed to be beginning of round 3, and they're available here in round 4, take them. It makes sense to do so. Their value just fell. Take advantage of that. So this is honestly the point in the draft where if you want to take Bowers or McBride, I'm okay with them coming off in the 4th round. Josh Allen, I'm still a bit more hesitant on. I think the quarterback this early on doesn't make sense, but if you want Josh Allen, the 4th round is where I'm okay with taking him, not the 3rd. But the main targets in round 4 are going to be the wide receivers. That is going to be Emeka Egbuka, Ladd McConkey, Garrett Wilson, Jalen Waddle, and Tedera McMillan. Ladd McConkey is my personal favorite player to come off in round 4, but all these guys here have potential to be low-end wide receiver 1s this year, as well as easily high-end wide receiver 2s. And if this is your first wide receiver, I think that's going to be super productive. They're going to be averaging around the 15 points per game range, in my opinion, maybe higher. You know, the ceiling is there, the potential is there. You can't find that in running backs this point in the draft. That is kind of off the board, which is why it's important to take the running backs early on, and this is where you can start targeting the wide receivers that are available. Going into round 5, this is where you're going to be targeting wide receivers and running backs. Again, taking the best guys that are available. Now, going forward, I'm going to have it in my presentation kind of written there, but at any point in the draft, if a player falls out of their round, so if a round 4 player falls into round 5, take them. There's probably value to be found there. The only thing is keep up with the news. Like if a player falls because of injury or something, then definitely consider that. But typically, you know, in every league, there's always a player that should be drafted earlier that falls out of that round. And if they're available, take them. The value is going to make sense overall. But again, we're targeting wide receiver and running back. If you're drafting like I am, you should be taking wide receiver here. But if there is a value at running back, for sure, take it. The main targets in this round are going to be players like Luther Burden, Devontae Adams, Mike Evans, and DJ Moore. All players with, again, wide receiver 2 upside, low-end wide receiver 1 potential as well, that are going to be productive. They're going to be scoring touchdowns. They're getting targeted a lot in their offenses. And then for running back, if you're looking for running back at this point, DeAndre Swift, David Montgomery, and Travion Henderson. In my opinion, DeAndre Swift is the last running back that can be placed in the running back 2 category that will be productive, that could get around that 14 points per game range. I really like DeAndre Swift. So if you avoided running back, which you shouldn't have, but if you did avoid running back from the 1st or 2nd round up to this point, DeAndre Swift is the last player that you can confidently plug in and play in your lineup as a 5th round pick. So take him here, but if not, target just the best wide receiver or the best running back that is going to be available. Round 6, we're still continuing this, targeting wide receiver, targeting running back. We're still building up our depth in our skill position. Round 6 in your drafts is where you're probably going to see a lot of quarterbacks getting ranked, and you're probably going to start seeing them getting drafted. Trust me, do not take them. Take the running backs or the wide receivers that are going to be available here. You got players like Carnell Tate, Ryan Thomas Jr., and Rome Odunze. All guys with high upside, especially Carnell Tate, a player that I really like this year that I think could have super, super high upside. For running back, not the best. It's more of Jadarian Price, Jalen Warren. And this is kind of another point I want to make here. If you're already at round 6 and you don't have a running back 2, your running back room is going to be screwed. Your running back 2 is going to be one of these guys who, again, they're not bad. They have that upside, but they're not a DeAndre Swift. They're not an Ashton Genty. They're not a Devon Achane. They're not a Chase Brown. They are not one of those elite running backs that come off in the early rounds. Again, they will be productive, but not really on that same level as those guys. So at this point, you should be targeting wide receivers personally, but if you need a running back, those guys are available here in round 6. And now round 7 is where it starts to get a bit interesting. This is where we're going to be targeting tight ends and quarterback, but only take the quarterbacks if they fall in value. And the quarterbacks that I'm referring to here are Joe Burrow, Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, Drake May, and of course, Lamar, Josh Allen, if he's still somehow here. Any of those quarterbacks, if they fall down to this point in the draft, take them here. I'm completely okay with that. But if they are not here, which they probably won't be, because again, their ADP is going much earlier. They're drafting the latest, the 6th round. But again, if they are available, take them. If not, we're targeting the tight ends that are here. And that is going to be Tucker Kraft, Sam Laporta, Kyle Pitts, and Harold Fandon Jr. I personally prefer Tucker Kraft the most out of all of them. Tucker Kraft had a really good season last year prior to his injury. He should be starting week 1. So he's the target that I have here in round 7. He's the player I like to grab, my tight end. But again, if one of the values fall in quarterback, take them here for sure. If not, take one of the tight ends. The running backs and wide receivers at this point aren't really the most intriguing, so this is where we're kind of targeting them here. In round 8, we're continuing this trend. If you took a quarterback, take a tight end here. If you took a tight end, take a quarterback here. Tight ends, George Kittle, Travis Kelce, 2 vets that should be super productive. George Kittle still on that injury kind of concern, but if he is available, definitely take the shot on him. He should be good. You could get depth in tight end much later anyway, but most likely it's going to be quarterback that you're taking here. I prefer the quarterbacks, and that is Justin Herbert, Jackson Dart, Dak Prescott, and Trevor Lawrence. I really like Justin Herbert this year. I've spoken about him in all my past videos. I think he's going to be really good. So taking him here in the 8th round for myself is a no-brainer. I think he can finish as a top 5 quarterback this year. Going into round 9, this is where you're going to start filling your needs. Look for players that have upside in the wide receiver, running back. If you need a tight end, if you need a quarterback, you're filling your needs at this point. Whatever you want, if you see some sort of upside potential, take that. My main players here are going to be Josh Downs, Kenneth Gainwell, Jacoby Myers, Jonathan Brooks, Stephon Diggs, and Jaden Reed. All players that have really good upside, all players that can be plugged in and play as your wide receiver 2, as your running back 2, as your flex if needed. But again, at this point, you should have already established that. You should be good. You're taking that high upside potential that could be consistent and things like that in these rounds. Round 10, continuing the same trend. We're just filling our needs, drafting what we need. The main players here are Jordan Mason, Rashad White, Patrick Mahomes, Brock Purdy, Matthew Golden, Casey Concepcion. So say if you avoided quarterback up until round 10, you still have 2 good options here, Brock Purdy and Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes for me personally is more of a draft and store type of option, so I should have a Herbert at this point, and I'm not too opposed with taking Mahomes and keeping him on my bench for when he comes back. And as well as name value, you can easily trade Mahomes for his name. A lot of people bite on that. So again, filling your needs, players with a ton of upside and stuff like that. Around 11 to 15, to kind of wrap up what you're doing, is you're just drafting upside. There's really nothing here that's going to be found that is too kind of appealing. It's more of just high upside players apart from defense and kickers. And here I split all the rounds from 11 to 15 and kind of the main players that you should target. The ones that are in dark are the ones that I prefer. So Brandon Aubrey, I know you guys know who Brandon Aubrey is. He's the best kicker in the league in my opinion. He's a player I like to draft early. I know a lot of people say, why would you draft a kicker early? But Brandon Aubrey really is the difference maker. For me personally, he's the Josh Allen of the kickers. He's in his own tier. He belongs there because he has a crazy high upside. He also has a nice floor. He can easily win you weeks, and he probably won't lose you many weeks. So him going early in drafts is nothing too crazy in my opinion. Him in the 11th round, that definitely is a bit early. I usually get him in the 12th round from where I've drafted so far, but he's currently going and rising into the 11th round now. He's a player I really like. The Broncos defense, Kenyon Sadiq, Chig, Zachariah Branch, these are all deeper players that have potential, that have that upside. But again, just look for players that you need, the high upside players that you can stash and store, handicaps at this point as well. Whatever you want, you can draft at this point. It's kind of just up to you. You're choosing your guys. So now I'm going to go through and I'm going to do 3 different mock drafts on 3 different platforms. I'm going to do Sleeper, ESPN, and FantasyPros. I'm going to go from the start, middle, and I'm going to apply the strategy in all 3 areas and show you what type of team you can build. And the 3 different platforms just to give some diversity. I know different people play on different platforms. So I'm going to be starting here at the 101 on Sleeper. And the first player we're going to be taking Bijan Robinson or Jahmyr Gibbs. Again, it's who you prefer. I'm going to pick just 10 rounds, as if I was to do all the rounds, it'd be a super long video. So I don't want to bore you guys with that. We're just going to do the 10 rounds, applying our strategy and showing you the starting 10 that you can build. And then again, round 11, you're just targeting who you prefer at what point, so and stuff like that. As we can see, what I spoke about earlier, Derrick Henry is still available here in the 212. So that's the player we're going to be taking as our running back 2, securing our second elite running back. And now we're going to go and be taking a fall in value, a player that is going to be productive, and that is Nico Collins as our wide receiver 1. I think Nico Collins should be a player that goes in round 2, but again, people prefer players like Bowers and McBride in these rounds, and Nico Collins ends up falling out into the 3rd round. So we're going to be taking him here, no-brainer. He's going to be super productive. And now we have an elite wide receiver 1, and we have 2 elite running back 1s. A really good start to our team, and let's continue to build it and see what we can achieve here. So in the 4th round, we have another player that is fallen in value, and that is Devontae Smith, which is the player that we're going to be taking on real-time ADPs. He's currently going in the 3rd round, but in sleeper, I guess he's ranked a lot lower. He's going in the 4th, which for us doesn't matter. We'll be taking him here in the 4th round. Now with the 5th pick, this is the point where we're just targeting what we need: running back, wide receiver, just kind of finding the best options available. I really like Jaden Waddle this year. I also like Cam Scatabo. So if you prefer one of those two, I'm fine with that. I'm going to take Cam Scatabo. Again, I think that taking the elite running backs as they're available is more important. So we'll find ourselves another wide receiver in the 6th round or the 7th round if we need to. Looking at the board so far, as you can see, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Drake May. All the quarterbacks that I spoke about, if they fall into the 7th round that you can take, are off the board, which is, again, typically where they go. So there's not much you can really do there. But looking at who is available here, we're going to take Marvin Harrison in the 6th round. I think Marvin Harrison has that upside potential. He could be productive this year. Hoping for a year 3 bounce back. If it doesn't happen, it is what it is. He's in our flex anyway, so it's not too bad. He's not our starter. We're okay with that. And now, 7th round, we spoke about tight end or quarterback, and we're going to be targeting tight end here, Kyle Pitts or Sam Laporta. I'm going to go and take Sam Laporta here. I think he's going to be a bit more productive than Kyle Pitts this year, so we're going to take him as our starting tight end here. And looking at our team so far, I mean, it's looking really good. It's looking really good. Again, this is what you want to be applying in your strategy. Target running backs early on, get wide receivers later, best player in round 3, tight end much later. Like, I'm completely fine with the Laporta here in the 7th round and having an elite running back, an elite wide receiver, then a Bowers and a McBride and stuff like that. Now in the 8th round, looking for quarterback here, looking for who's available. Looking at the board, we see Herbert, Dart, Caleb Williams, Prescott, Lawrence are all gone. I'm going to go and probably take Brock Purdy. I actually really like Brock Purdy this year. I think he's going to be super productive. I know Patrick Mahomes is available, but he's dealing with the injury. There's a chance he doesn't play. For us, he's more of that upside shot in the 9th or 10th round. So I could take him here, but back-to-back quarterbacks doesn't make sense to me. So I'm going to go through. I'm probably going to take a wide receiver here as well. And looking at who is available, we have Josh Downs, a player that I really like down here. And I'm going to take Josh Downs. Again, I will stick to my word. I think Josh Downs is going to be a really good receiver this year. Taking here in the 9th round for me is a no-brainer. I know Alec Pierce is available here as well, but Alec Pierce has a bit more questions with his injuries and stuff like that, so he's not a player I'm too appealed on, if I'm being honest. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I shouldn't have taken Josh Downs. Maybe I should have taken a Quentin Johnston or something, but I really like Josh Downs, so we'll be taking him there. And then in the 10th round again, we're starting to see that the Rams already came off the board and stuff like that. Defenses are coming off early. It's what some people do. It's what they prefer. We're not going to be doing that. We're going to take Jordan Mason here as our running back. Jordan Mason potentially with Aaron Jones Sr. dealing with injuries. He's older. Jordan Mason has the potential to become a starter there. The O-line and stuff, hopefully he's better. Hopefully the team is better as a whole. So he's kind of that upside shot. And looking at our roster, Brock Purdy, Bijan, Derrick Henry, Nico Collins, Devontae Smith, Laporta, Cam Scatabo, Marvin Harrison, Josh Downs, Jordan Mason. I mean, that's elite. That's a really good team right there. You have the best running back in the league. You have one of the top 10 running backs in the league as well. Nico Collins, Devontae Smith. That's literally what you want. And let's just take a look through what the other teams, what they did, and kind of talk about what you shouldn't be doing. Team 4 is going to be our example here, just right off the bat, and Team 8. So looking at their team, you have Puka Nacua, you have Brock Bowers, Malik Neighbors, Emeka, Jameson Williams. Again, really nice receivers. Definitely a bit of risk here with Igbuka, Neighbors, and Puka. A lot of concerns and questions there, but overall, high upside wide receivers. Now look at his starting running backs. Chuba Hubbard and Aaron Jones. Terrible. Absolutely terrible as your starting running backs. Like garbage, just straight up. Team 8, you have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Trey McBride, Josh Allen, T. Higgins, Rome Odunze, Parker Washington. I like this wide receiver room a lot more in Amon-Ra, McBride, Josh Allen, T. Higgins as well. Not bad. Rome Odunze with that upside. But But look at his starting running backs as well. Ramondre Stevenson, Rico Dowdle. Definitely, I think, a bit better than this one right here, but still pretty bad. Like, this is not what you want. You want a more balanced team. Looking at our team, we have Bijan Robinson, Derrick Henry. We have Nico Collins, Devontae Smith as our 4 starters. Really good starters, in my opinion. Really, really good. Cam Scatterable, Marvin Harrison in our flex. A ton of upside there for our flex. Sam Laporta as our tight end. Brock Purdy, rushing upside, throwing ability. Josh Downs, Jordan Mason as well. And then again, later on, you draft who you want, who you prefer. I think this is a really good start for the 101. FantasyPros.com, we're going to be drafting from the 106. If you guys don't know what this is their draft simulator. They apply ADP from all the websites, Sleeper, ESPN, Yahoo, whatever you want. They take it and put it all together. So you're drafting against ADP rather than just bots and stuff like that. So it's a bit more interesting, a bit of a different take. I use this for all my videos. If you watch any of my draft videos, you'll see me using this tool. I really like it. So we're going to be picking from the 106 here, again, in 12-team format. And we're going to be taking Amon-Ra St. Brown. Again, I've talked about it. I prefer Amon-Ra over JSN, so he's the player we're taking there. Looking at the board, again, nothing too out of the ordinary, pretty standard. We're going to be taking our running back. And, of course, Derrick Henry, the player that we want, is gone. We're going to go and take the second best option, and that is Kenneth Walker. I personally prefer Kenneth Walker as my running back too. But, again, he's the next best player there. We're going to take him there at the 207. Now looking through who's available here, we see Rashee Rice comes off the 212. He's not available in the 3rd round anymore. So we're going to go and take our second best player in the 3rd round, and that is Javonte Williams. Again, I really like Javonte Williams. I'm not going to say anything again. I like him. I think him and Kenneth Walker as our 2 running backs is pretty solid. Now in the 4th round, we're looking for our wide receivers. We see a majority of them come off the board already. So we're going to just target who is available here. We have DJ Moore, Mike Evans, Devontae Adams, Terry McLaurin. I think Devontae Adams with the touchdown upside, he's going to be targeted. He's an elite wide receiver. Him as our wide receiver too is definitely nothing to complain about. In the 5th round, again, looking for that upside, looking for potential players that could be productive and things like that. And looking at who is available, we have Mike Evans, Christian Watson, Rome Odunze, Carnell Tate. I'll be taking Rome Odunze here. I really like Rome Odunze. I think he's going to be solid. Him and Luther Burden, I think it's going to be a pretty fun battle to see who is the true wide receiver one there. I think it's going to be Rome. Could be wrong, but I like Rome in the 5th round. I think he's a great player to take there. Now in the 6th round, looking through who is available. Wide receiver-wise, we can take Brian Thomas, but I'm going to be looking for running back. Again, running backs are about to be depleted super quickly. I like David Montgomery. He's available here. We'll take him in the 607. Now in the 7th round, looking for that tight end, Tucker Kraft. He's joining our team. In the 8th round, we're looking for our quarterback. We have Trevor Lawrence here, and we have Brock Purdy. I like T-Law. We'll be taking T-Law for our quarterback. In the 9th round, again, filling out those positions. If you want a tight end, Laporta still on the board here, Travis Kelce, stuff like that. Looking for running backs and wide receivers personally. So looking through it, who is available. Stephon Diggs here in the 9th round is available. We'll be taking Stephon Diggs. Now in the 10th round, we'll probably take a running back, Jordan Mason, just like Sleeper. So there you go. As you can see at our team right here, Trevor Lawrence, Kenneth Walker, Javonte Williams, Amon-Ra, Devontae Adams, Tucker Kraft, Rome Odunze, Montgomery, Stephon Diggs, Jordan Mason. I really like this bench. I think it's going to be a pretty productive bench. You have an elite wide receiver in Amon-Ra. You have 2 really good running backs in Javonte and Kenneth Walker. Devontae Adams, I think he's going to be pretty solid. Him as a wide receiver too is something I'm not too opposed to. A lot of upside in Rome Odunze, Tucker Kraft, top 5 tight end in the league. Trevor Lawrence is also going to be super elite. So really good team you can be building here as long as you're following the strategies. So that is the 106. So now for our final draft, we're going to be drafting on ESPN. Again, another format that I play on, a lot of people play on. We're going to be drafting from the 112 here. This one I'm going to be chopping up a bit because on ESPN you actually draft against real people unless they turn on auto mode. Like you can see right here, some of these guys are in auto. But we're going to be drafting against real people, so it's going to take a little bit longer. So I'll kind of just be chopping through and, again, still following our strategy. All right, so we are now on the board picking at the 12th spot. I'm going to be going through and taking 2 running backs here. I'm going to take Devon Achane, and then I'm also going to go and take Saquon Barkley here as well. So Devon Achane, I know a lot of people are a bit hesitant on him because of Miami and their rebuild and stuff like that. I think he's going to be pretty solid. I think he has a safe floor. He's probably going to be the only player really there receiving the ball. They're going to be using him a lot, and you can make the case so he's going to get shut down and stuff like that by defenses. They know who to guard and things like that, but the volume is there. As long as he gets volume, safe floor, and then if he scores touchdowns, high ceiling, you know what I mean? Saquon Barkley, I'm just really banking on a bounce back. I think he's going to be solid. New offensive coordinator, healthier O-line. I think Saquon can really bounce back and be a top 5 running back once again. Will it happen? Up there, but definitely a top 10 for sure. So, again, starting off with 2 elite running backs, Devon Achane, Saquon Barkley is definitely something we would like to do here. No point of reaching on the wide receivers that were available anyway, so I like them there. We're going to be taking those as our guys here. Okay, so we are now back on the board, and I'm going to go and take 2 wide receivers here. I'm going to take Garrett Wilson, and then I'm going to take Ladd McConkey, the guy that we talked about. Again, Garrett Wilson, the volume's there. I think he's going to be pretty productive. Ladd McConkey, I think, is going to be really good. So taking them as our 2 wide receivers, I'm pretty confident with. I think, again, I think they easily have the potential to be low-end wide receiver 1s, as well as high-end wide receiver 2s. So having 2 of them on our team is something I really like, especially with 2 elite running backs. So we'll be taking them here in the turn. And again, securing our 2 elite running backs early on, taking the best player available in Garrett Wilson in round 3, and then targeting our wide receiver in round 4. Okay, so we are now back on the board with our 5th pick. And the player that I wanted, DeAndre Swift, is off the board. Somebody knows ball in this room, so we're going to go and probably take a wide receiver here. I'm going to take Marvin Harrison with our 1st pick. I think that the upside is something I really like there, so I'm fine with taking him here. And then Jadarian Price is definitely an option if you think that he has the potential to excel, or you can take another kind of wide receiver here, and I'm probably going to take DJ Moore for a wide receiver. Most leagues that I play in is double flex, full PPR, so taking a player like DJ Moore I think is going to be more beneficial for us there. But if you like Jadarian Price, again, if you think that the upside is there, is definitely a player you can target. So we are now back on the board with our 7th pick, and you'll notice on ESPN, their rankings are a lot different from all the other websites. Tucker Kraft is all the way down here, and again, we're going to be taking Tucker Kraft. He's almost an 8th round pick here. Then we're going to go and take our quarterback, and I really like Herbert, but Caleb Williams is available, so I'm going to take Caleb Williams here. I think he can be a bit more productive this year, if I'm being honest. I'm working on a ranking video currently, and I have Caleb Williams ranked higher than Justin Herbert. It's only by like 3 spots, but I do think Caleb Williams has a pretty good season this year ahead of him, so I like him here in the 8th round. We'll be taking him there. We are now back on the clock with our final 2 picks for this video. And we're going to go and take a running back here. I'm going to take Rachaad White with our 9th pick. And then with our 10th pick, I would have taken a player like a Kenneth Gainwell if they were available, or J.K. Dobbins. They currently aren't. So we're probably going to go and take another wide receiver here, and kind of looking through it who is available. I'll go and I'll take Deebo Samuel here. Again, him being the wide receiver 2 in his team and stuff like that, he has that upside. So that is essentially the type of team you can be building from the 12th spot. 12th spot, in my opinion, isn't really the best place to be drafting, but I really like our 2 elite running backs, Devon Achane, Saquon Barkley. We also have Rachaad White as kind of that bench player. There's also other running backs you can get for your bench, like a Jordan Mason that I like, Chris Rodriguez, Tyler Algier, you know what I mean? There's definitely upside for the bench for running back, but our wide receivers as well, Garrett Wilson, Ladd McConkey. Again, I think low-end wide receiver 1 potential, high-end wide receiver 2. Same thing with Marvin Harrison, in all honesty. Deebo Samuel, DJ Moore, Caleb Williams is our quarterback. Again, I think a pretty nice and elite team that you can be building here. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that this video was somehow beneficial to you, that you can see what type of teams you can be drafting with this draft strategy. Again, I think it's super important to secure elite running backs in the first 2 rounds. I prefer double running back this year, but if you take a wide receiver because of the first round, take an elite running back in round 2 for sure. And then again, best player, target wide receiver, stuff like that. So I hope this video was beneficial. If you guys enjoyed it, leave a like, leave a comment. If you have any thoughts or anything like that, let me know. And I will see you guys in our next video.